My name is Ilene Verbrugge, and this is my story of how First Presbyterian Church has changed my life. I was born in Woolstock, Iowa, baptized in a Lutheran church there, and then moved with my family to Camrar when I was a small child. I graduated from Northeast Hamilton High School in 1967 and was valedictorian of my class, then went to work for the Daily Freeman Journal. I was then asked to work for Webster City Federal Savings and Loan, where I remained for 3 years. Eventually, I wanted to get away from Webster City, so I moved to Fort Dodge and applied for a job at First Federal Savings and Loan. Dick Lindeberg, who was, by the way, a member of First Presbyterian Church, hired me saying, "When would you like to start?" I became a teller there. However, being on my own for the first time was not easy. I experienced some depression, I became pregnant, and the transition was difficult. At that time, being single and pregnant was frowned on by the society. I felt I needed to be honest with my boss, so I told Dick Lindbergh. I offered to work in the basement of the bank doing anything if he would allow me to keep my job there. Dick said, "Wait a minute, I need to make a call." He called the pastor of First Presbyterian Church, Dr. Sequin, and made an appointment with him for me. Dr. Sequin was really nice. He talked with me, he offered and drove me to Dubuque to connect with Family Services for help. After a few days, I knew I did not belong in the Family Services home in Dubuque where I knew no one. I left there and came back to Fort Dodge. I again talked with Dr. Sequin. He was very understanding of my situation. He offered another solution by contacting Evelyn Burleson, another member of this church. Evelyn welcomed me to live with her for the remainder of my pregnancy. I lived there for 3 months until my daughter Charlene was born in 1976. When Charlene was a few weeks old, I found a small apartment at Warden Plaza. Iowa Children's and Family Services were in charge of my case. They found foster placement for Charlene, but after 1 week without my daughter, I decided to keep her. I knew that somehow I had to keep my child. I could not give her up for adoption. She was my greatest blessing. I wanted her. My daughter was my lifeline. She gave me hope again. I needed to work, so I returned to Dick Lindbergh and asked for my same job back. He and Marie McGough welcomed me back, so I was able to support myself and Charlene. I worked at First Federal for about 17 years. I had Charlene baptized at First Presbyterian when she was 2 months old, and later became a member of here because I had found out that, quote unquote, Presbyterians help people. It was Presbyterians who helped me. Dick Lindbergh was a lifesaver for me. Evelyn Burleson was a dear friend and also a lifesaver for me. And Reverend Sequin was attentive to my needs. He was also a lifesaver to me. When Charlene was about 13, I met Joe Verbrugge. On July 15, 1989, we were married at First Presbyterian Church. Although he had previously been Methodist, he also became a member of this church. He has been a wonderful, loving husband and a wonderful, loving father to Charlene. Charlene was married in this church also on July 15th in the year 2000. I have been involved with circles at this church. I've played bingo at Sacred Heart. This church continues to strengthen our spiritual lives as a family.